What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. So many of you guys showed up and out yesterday for the charity live stream. We raised money for DFW Canines for Veterans, taking dogs from kill shelters and raising them to be full-service dogs for veterans with PTSD or injuries. And if you might have won a prize, our sponsors gave a ton of prizes to you guys. If you donated at all, you were entered in raffles. Come over to the Zodiac Duelist Twitch and go ahead and check this section right here, winner section. And the very first lot of winners will be to the charity live stream winners. And just check if your name's there. And if you did win something, I have the emails for everybody associated that won a prize. Just hit me up and we'll get it sorted. On the Discord down below, I will be House of Champs in the Discord. That's in the description. That being said, let's get into today's Market Watch. And thank you guys so much for making that an awesome event. There can be only one is $15. I've been hit up 5 times about this in the last 24 hours. John, what do you think about this being $15? John, it's crazy there can be only one is $15. Do you think this is because True Draco stuff became cheaper? Well, yeah, it's going to see a price hike because True Draco stuff became much more accessible. But the thing is, while many market watches will show you TCG player, and I'm even incentivized to show you TCG player pricings, because if you use my link down in the description to shop TCG player, you support the channel directly, costing you nothing extra except what you'd already be spending on cards. Well, there's another thing I always tell you. Always check both. It's much cheaper and more readily available, albeit a lot of new listings, over here on eBay. That's because both of these sites are filled with independent vendors, and both are going to have their independent quantities. Also, when something starts bumping up, I see TCG player sellers are usually more on the ball of pulling their listing off and deciding, okay, maybe I want to sell it after a buyout, maybe I want to sell it after a price spike. Yet there's 3 whole pages of this, so it's more like the independent sellers on TCG Player are really holding this line. Look how many are here towards $15, just hoping to make sales that people blindly go to TCG Player, while over on eBay, it's a different story of new listings, people wanting to make sales. There's a huge difference between a $30 playset and a $45 playset. That's a 50% increase in price. It's crazy to me. So yeah, you might want to hunt these out in person or take over the cheaper prices while they last, but that's the reason it's going up. Yes, because True Draco is more accessible, but also because people will be Pac-Manning, eating them up off of the market. Let's look at another buyout that recently happened. Galatea. Oh, the ultimate rare. How it has fallen so freaking fast. Talking about people wanting to make sales. We were, what, $60 at its height buyout and trying to hold the line? Oh, this is almost beautiful. Half of the freaking price. Motivated sellers. And on eBay, it's much more expensive. Always check both, because TCG Player will commonly have deals as well. That's why I partner with them, because they're worth showing off. Now, in my opinion, it might float down towards 30. I personally thought it might try to hold the line at 40 after its buyout, but it's going down pretty fast. Now, Orcust is a huge meta deck. It's an amazing deck. It's really freaking good. It mixes with so many things like Cyber Dragons, as we showed off in the previous Market Watch. But at the same time, it's an option. There's so many options in this format. Cheap Sky Strikers, cheap Danger Thunder, or Pure Thunder even. So many different options among Salmon Greats, Pendulums, that Orcust is a drop in the meta, a big slice of the pie, but a drop within the meta itself as well. While it's very accessible, we also see Dingirsu starting to tick up a little bit. One of the very few cards that is on the rise, and while it looks like it's only a little bit above its market price, it had fallen to 18, and over on eBay, still is 18 for its lowest copy. You get those sponsored listings that are getting really annoying on eBay, and then you see it's 19, still below 20 here, but somebody from Europe yesterday told me it's getting bought out over on Card Market, and I looked and it seems to be true. We see it's at 22 euros, which is more expensive, and in just a couple of listings heads towards 25. I do feel like Dingirsu, having that original much higher price point when it was introduced to the metagame, has the potential to raise its ceiling and go up in price, and with only 41 prices on TCG Player, I do think we're headed that way through its quantities. I do think with so many decks accessible to the Orcus combo, and the Orcus combo memes popping off in Zodiac, all that good stuff, I think there's a lot to go with this deck. Fully hollowing it out isn't where everybody's going to go. So you see prices like this fall, but the cheapest options available are starting to rise, and Dengirsu is one of the only expensive cards at its lowest rarity. So do consider getting this sooner than later using my TCG player link in the description down below if you're shopping and the copies on eBay have sold out. Always get yourself the best deal, boys. Always. Take care of yourself first. Now, the market heavily is cooling down in other places, and this is exciting. While sign-up mining is still high in price, and people are looking far ahead at Ignister, we see no material falling far down. Maybe this is just because we have other hand trap options like Nibiru coming out, best hand trap ever. No material, I think, is still really good against certain key matchups, and I think we'll see it in some players' side decks despite the appearance of Nibiru. Also, combo pieces like Brotar going down in price, and I was looking at Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. In a previous Market Watch, I showed you guys cheap Cyberse cards to get now. This is one of the more expensive Cyberse cards, and when you get Cyberse locked by certain decks effects, so when you're Cyberse climbing, I think this is a really amazing piece to have, and something that I would get sooner than later. While it wasn't short printed within the set, thank gosh, Konami really on the ball with that. Heck, even Sign-Up Mining wasn't shorter printed in the set. But I do think with these cheap prices from Dark Neostorm, Avermax is definitely something to get, considering extra deck boss monsters have a tendency to climb in price. Look at the BLS link, look at Boral Sword from the past. This is going to be an option, and especially for the Cyberse players, and I'll show later on Market Watch that there's some traction there. But over on eBay, it's actually even more expensive. Just something to consider, that when something's more expensive on eBay in very low quantities, things start disappearing fast. Chaos Dragon Levianeer, despite not being in the Megatons in its initial hype towards 40, I thought it might have had a higher ceiling, is dropping because it's not seeing as much metagame play. And we see it cheapest, brand new, unlimited near mint on eBay with best offer on at 30. Motivated sellers. I love to see it on market. Talking about other things falling. Call by the Grave from the Megatons. This is a ooh, I told you so moment. Now, this will become a very great pickup at some point, and it's starting to look tastier and tastier as an investment as it falls towards freaking $7.50 almost. This is awesome, and we see over on eBay very similar numbers besides, you know, sponsored listings. Actually climbs quite quickly compared to TCG Player. So the fallout is happening for the Megatons on TCG Player a bit faster than eBay. Now those competitive sellers trying to get the grip in the market for those insane quantities that they busted open. Look at this, 33 copies at $7.85, and everybody has to undercut them until those sell too. Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon is oddly ticking up. So while meta cards that are not as relevant anymore are falling, Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon, I guess there's a little spike from the Megaton. Oh, I put the Blue Eyes card in my Megaton. I remember Blue Eyes. $22. Of course, the prize card version, insane clickbait title. Nah, we'll pass on that one. But $22 over here for the Ultra, and the Gold isn't very cheap either at $21. These are still its only two printings, while there are way more quantities because they had a special edition for the movie packs. Still harder to get and starting to tick back up. We see over on eBay, though, it is a bit cheaper. Somebody's kind of bad at listing things. It says new on the listing. Looks very minty fresh. $17, a ton of views per hour. People are just kind of staying back a little bit from this one for some reason. And then we see that it is quickly $20 joining it as well on eBay. Now, I was talking about Cyberse ticking up. I was looking at Fist of the Gadgets, and I'm like, man, there's not much movement here. This set, after Fire Fist kind of chilled out a little in the metagame, started to trend down, but one thing keeps going up on TCG Player. Code Radiator, above $10 now. Troll and Toad also can't keep this card in stock. We look over here on eBay, $8.50, $8.50, $9. It does tick towards 10 rather quickly, but in my opinion, when we're looking at these Cyberse cards, people get a lot more excited about the anime and show and the potential of the future of Cyberse. I think that the Code Talker archetype is pretty good. I don't think it's going to take over the meta until it gets certain other cards, but I'm pretty excited about the potential of its future, and it seems like other people are also, more so on TCG Player. but it does rise on eBay. So that's why I'm saying with Avermax, I suggested a ton of cards to get now for Cybers. Avermax definitely among those. And I have no clue what my last Prohibition. I was checking it up because I've actually seen it played more and more on Dueling Book. Like, originally, Blade and I did that video as a half meme because, like, in ridiculous formats, Prohibition does appear. So the fact that I've seen, like, Dragoonity players play Prohibition on Farfa's stream, and, like, the opponent had 2 Nibirus, and he called Nibiru because he couldn't take it. Just hilarious stuff. So I was just checking in on this card, and it's kind of funny. There's cheap secret rares still, though, $5, so it cooled back down in relative time. But what a funny card that's actually just found its way into multiple metas. Thank you guys so much for watching today's Market Watch, and thank you everybody who did show up to the charity stream again. I can't thank you all enough for making that an awesome event. Special shoutouts to Simo, special shoutouts to Nimnum for showing up, the DB vs IRL War Crew, all of the sponsors who did help out. Thank you guys so much, including Ophidian, who's not up here, who really showed out and gave a special playmat and 4 of their regular mats. They might end up up here at some point. But seriously, thank you to everybody who did help give, and it really was an awesome time. See you later, guys.